All right, hey y'all. So I'm trying to keep the energy down. I get super excited and then I get all crazy and loud. But something that I gotta tell you that just it kills me. It kills me. There's a few things that kill me, but there's one thing that really gets me that I've hated hearing my entire career, and that is that the number one thing to help you live a longer life is to stop eating, like fasting, like do fasting. And I'm like, I don't want to go without food. I like food too much to go without food. Like, no way. Hang on. We're telling more people. It says, hey, share this out. We're gonna do some anti-aging. If you're into like longevity anti-aging, really fun, just for fun. You don't have to do this, but you should. How old are you? Put your age in the chat. I'm just curious. I'm 46. 46 years old. I'm very blessed that at my early ages of my 20s, I got messed up and I kind of had to put my life back together in my 30s and late 20s and 30s. So I'm very blessed because I get to appreciate the world a little bit differently. But I want to talk a little bit about anti-aging and longevity. And most people come to us for fat loss. Most people come to us because they want to lose weight. But and that's great. And I'm nothing wrong with that, because the reality is if you want to live a long life, you got to be a really good fat burner. So if fat loss is your goal, we know that if you're heavy, you're less likely to live longer. So that should go together, right? That should actually go together. But I'd love to help you understand some of the principles. And I'm going to give you my number one secret of longevity. And it's going to be surprising to you all because it won't be what most people think. And just for fun, in the chat, put down, what do you think my number one tip for longevity is? Just for fun, I'm going to take a second. I'm going to have a drink, a swig of my ketones. Hint, hint, hint. That may or may not be it. But what do you think the number one tip for longevity is? And when I talk about longevity, it's not just living a long time. That's part of it. It's living the long time and enjoying your life is the other part of it. As I get into this, I'm gonna let some more people come on. But as I get into this, I in my life, my grandmother died in her 60s. I got to know my grandmother. She died at 63. My grandpa died at like 62, 64. My other grandmother died at 73. My grandfather, my mom's dad, I didn't never met. He died way before I was born. He died when my mom was 11. My dad died at 48. My stepfather died at 56 or 57. My mom is still alive at 62 years old. She's thriving. My uncle's alive at 63 or 64. He is the oldest active person in my family I've ever met. 74, 73, 74 years old. Uncle Dwayne, if you're there, appreciate you for being older. So for me, I didn't get to be around a lot of long-term longevity. So for me, I'm very fascinated by this conversation. I spend a lot of time in the anti-aging world now because I'm fascinated. When you watch everybody in your family die young, you kind of want to live longer. You're like, well, missing out on some stuff. But I'd like to give you a few of the tips of what, like the number one tip. First off, in the chat, hit me up. What's the number one tip that you're going to need to, like, that you believe that I'm going to share with you? What do you think it is of how to live the longest, healthiest, happiest life? Like, what's the number one tip? Okay. More sex, somebody says. Well, that's actually not a bad idea. There's actually that could be relatively correctly, but it's not eating, it's not taking ketones daily, it's not exercise. It's none of those. Do I think this should be a part of that? All those are good, Jeff. Those are all good tips, and we're going to talk about each one of those because when it comes to anti-aging, the first thing, mindset, fasting. Ooh, this is good. Mindset. Can you dig into the mindset? It's something very specific around mindset that is true. But I want to show that one last. I'm going to show that one last because that is something that's deeper. That's something that is that's layering some stuff. Now, for my health guy, I'm a health guy, right? I got my keto clothes on. I got my drink ketone hat on. I got my Prove It Champion shirt on. Where are my promoters at? Where are all the promoters at that want to build a business, make some extra money? Give me a little shout out down below. Hey, that's important too. Actually, it is. But here's the deal. What we know is for anti-aging longevity is fasting and reducing calories is actually really important for longevity. They did a study based off of the Holocaust study of, yes, the extreme of that fasting starvation world. But people that eat less, smaller people live longer. I hate that. I know, even if you're just a larger person and you're leaner, it's still against your odds. Smaller people live longer than bigger people, number one. So what does that mean? Fasting is a really cool technique where we do a lot of intermittent fasting with Prove It. So you spend maybe only eat from 12 to 8 p.m. We've been teaching that for about 8 years. The problem with fasting is most people can't do it or don't sustain it. That's why we introduce ketones. So these have two positive effects for anti-aging. Number one, it helps you fast. So if we can get you to fast more, better. But fasting on your own sucks, and usually you're not going to do it. So then why talk about it, right? So you drink this for breakfast. It doesn't break your fast. You get the longevity. Well, that's going to help with fat burning, right? You want to be a good fat burner if you're going to fast. Number two, fasting. We have some really cool fasting kits too that helps accelerate the fast. So those are the two biggest benefits. The other thing about ketones that are really important for anti-aging is they improve cognition. So a lot of people come for fat loss, right? A lot of people are coming to us for fat loss. I'm smaller. Jeff, you're way smaller, dude. Jeff's down. How much you down? How much weight you down, Jeff? Jeff is killing it. Very proud of you, man. I just finished an 18th consecutive 60-hour fast thanks to ketones. That's huge. They're huge because you're going to live longer. The studies are really clear. Now, here's the thing about fasting. Fasting actually increases human growth hormone. Now, it doesn't necessarily that means that you get all those growth hormones, but it does have a trickle effect. Jeff is down 140 pounds. Congratulations, brother. I know he's not done yet. He's got like 60 more to go or 55 more to go before he's done. But the thing is he and I are changing his narrative away from the fat loss to performance, because at the end of the day, how does he live his life when he's down 200 pounds? Like, how does he live his life so that he can accelerate it? Because that's the last tip I'm going to give you. So here's what I want to suggest. Ketones. If you're over the age of 30, really fun. If you're over the age of 30, give me like a jazz hands or some smiley faces, or give me an emoji or something. I'm gonna wave everybody. Wave. If you're over the age of 30, let me know how old are you? You waved at. Oh, I waved at you. After the age of 30, your brain slows down and it doesn't uptake energy the same way. This is my example, right? So if I give a kid sugar, what happens? They get energized. If I give an adult sugar, they get tired. Why? Rachel, sorry, Rachel, you're 32. You're 32. Christy, Giannis is 39. Darlene is 59. Tanya is 51. I'm 46. Jeff's 48. Jeff, dude, I'm telling you, in 3 years from now, you're going to look so much younger. I mean, because Jeff doesn't look 48. He actually looks older. Well, before I met him, now he's looking like a young little spring chicken. So here's the deal: is after the age of 30, your brain slows down. It doesn't uptake energy very well. Now, remember, I'm talking about anti-aging, right? If you're into fat loss, listen to this, because this is the long-term. This is the long-term benefits of becoming a good fat burner. Is you're going to age better. Okay. Now, there's a lot of ancillary components to this, but here's the deal: is that your brain doesn't uptake energy. Like I said, I give a kid sugar, they get energized. I give an adult sugar, they get tired. Because you're not using the same energy the same way. Your brain can't absorb glucose as efficiently after the age of 30. Now, if you're a person that's gained some excessive weight, if you're a person that's been hitting the head a lot like I have, it actually accelerates the decrease of this uptake of energy. So why ketones are so vital, people talk about fat loss all the time, is when you start drinking this, it increases energy to your brain. Your brain gets to act like it was in the 20s and 30s. It gets to start to do everything that you've been wanting to do. It can now do better. Okay. Does it solve all your problems? No, but it gives you the ability to do that. If you do not drink ketones and you're over the age of 30, your brain is slowing down faster than you want to. There isn't an alternative. People are drinking like energy drinks and all this other stuff trying to get energy. You're not fueling your brain. What I'm talking about is fuel to the brain. I'm talking about energy to your brain. It's different than anything else in the world. You want that in your system, right? Because what happens when your brain gets energized, your body starts to get younger. It starts to replenish cells better. Your autophagy, you can fast better. You can metabolize better. You can activate a transporter called the GLUT4 transporter that deactivates itself over time and become a better fat burner. That's what's happening to Jeff right now. That's why this is so important. So ketones are vital to cognition and anti-aging of the brain. The alternative is you slow down, you get more forgetful, you're less active, and basically you exist without enough purpose. That's the alternative, right? Dr. Kenneth Ford, former chairman of NASA, talks about this all the time. He goes, if you want to be happy, 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 dead. Without ketones, you're happy, happy, happy existing until you perish. Like, that's not a good alternative. Okay, so that's number two. Number one is fasting. Number two is you want to be in ketosis. You want to drink your ketones every day. This is anti-aging longevity. Number three, for longevity, it's not about diet. I think exercise is important. I'm going to be talking more about exercise in 2023. Although because I have you on, I'm going to tell you. I want in the chat, if you can, name the oldest fit person you've ever heard of. Name the oldest fit person you ever heard of. How many people that lived to 100 were super fit? I'll wait. There's only one that I can think of that lived into their 90s, Jack LaLanne. Outside of him, I don't know of any single person that's huge in the fitness industry that lived into their hundreds. Arnold Schwarzenegger is not in his 90s. I don't know how old he is. I'm guessing he's somewhere in his 70s, maybe touching 80. But I'm talking about longevity, right? How many people in the fitness industry or the health and wellness, professional sports, whatever you want to consider, whatever you consider super fit, live really long? So, do I think exercise is important? Yes. Do I think it's the key to longevity? Absolutely not. I think activity is. I think people that have an active life, I think, is a kind of a secret weapon in there. People that do a little bit of lot all the time, I think, are more prone to live longer. Not necessarily the person that goes and really pushes themselves really far, because exercise is a stress. So I shock a lot of people by this, because right now we look at these professional athletes as like the key to health and wellness, and it's not true. Most professional athletes don't live very long. In retrospective longevity, they actually live probably less than the average because they put a lot of demand and stress on their body that breaks them down. I know what it's like to be broken down. So I'm defying this because I'm one of them. I didn't necessarily play professional sports, but I could have, right? I had the ability, and I pushed my body like I did. So I had to give myself a little shout out. I don't know why. I needed to perk the ego a little bit. So the number one reason, the number one thing key to living a long life, the longevity life, is purpose. It's purpose. So yes, I think fasting, eating less food, yes, really important. Science has proven that, and it pisses me off because I like food too much. But eating less food live longer. People that eat less live longer. If you have an emotional relationship with food, and I'm not talking about the extreme cases of food deprivation. So that's why I like fasting, intermittent fasting. I do fasting because it's a longevity tool for me. I'm an old father. What I mean by that is I'm 46 and I have a newborn, right? So I'm going to be nearly 65 when she graduates high school. Most people are grandparents by then. I might be a grandparent by then. Alexander will be, 27, 28. So who knows? But for me, it's really important. Number two, ketones are vital for cognition, brain function. They also help with muscle function, help with fat burning, help with fat metabolism. So ketones will be a vital part of anti-aging. It's the number one anti-aging product in the history of the world. And you can quote me on that. But number three is purpose. Number three is about having a purpose. So I couldn't quantify this. It took me a long time. It was actually an FBI agent. I was on the East Coast, an FBI agent, and I had this conversation. And that's who he and I had this conversation. Unfortunately, he passed away. Which was really a weird scenario. We're talking about purpose. He lost his purpose. He couldn't find anything. And then magically, not magically, but unfortunately he dies within a year after we had this conversation. It was really weird. I got really close to him, mostly because he was an FBI agent. I'm very fascinated. I wanted to be in the agencies when I got the Marine Corps. So it was something I spent a lot of time studying. I decided it wasn't the life for me. I didn't want that lifestyle. So I chose a whole different path in my career. Another conversation another day. But purpose. My brother-in-law, who is 36 years old, and his grandmother raised him, and he's special needs. And it was interesting is that she had 11 kids, and the last thing that she kind of had a purpose for was him. And as soon as he no longer needed her, she magically passed away. And it was really interesting how that just kind of coincided, or kind of how it happened. How many people retire and die within a few years? How many people have a spouse that passes away and then they die soon after? It has to do with this purpose. And I don't want to get too deep in here. That wasn't the point of my whole thing. But if you don't find a purpose to work towards or move towards, they've done studies of the brain. They've literally done studies of Alzheimer's brains. And they literally look at a person's brain, and it's completely just decrepit, like it has Alzheimer's, right? And after they died, they look at the brain. But then they look at a brain that didn't have Alzheimer's, but it looked kind of the same. It was a very similar brain. They look very similar. In reality, this person over here should have had the same physical symptoms based off of the physicality of the brain, right? But why didn't they? This person lived this outgoing life, where this person kind of lived as a zombie in a nursing home or just in a controlled environment. What was the difference? The difference is this person had something that they were working toward, they're actively pursuing. This person didn't. And it's hard to quantify that because it's different for everybody, right? So the number one key to longevity is finding something to believe in, finding something to work towards, finding something to move towards, finding something to pursue. And so if you don't find that, then your body slows down faster. You don't realize it, but you move more. When you have a purpose or an idea or something that you're working towards, you naturally move. An object in motion wants to stay in motion. An object at rest wants to stay at rest. Right. So if you're sitting inside, now you guys got to remember, like I literally spent many years of my high school career literally sitting in hospitals watching people pass away. Like that was a big part of my life. It made me who I am today because I was like, what am I going to do that's not going to be like that? I ask everybody on their exit plan. I'm true story. This is conversations I have. Is I would sit in the hospital rooms and hospital beds, and I would literally look at people and I'd be like, what would you do different? I would take care of myself. But I didn't understand the idea of a purpose back then. I didn't know what that meant then. None of them have ever said, I wish I had a bigger purpose. They said, I wish I had more time. I'm like, interesting. But they really need to go together. And so, but what's really interesting is I would ask the loved ones, my sisters, my cousins, my friends, the people that I spent time with. And I go, what are you going to do to prevent yourself to be like this? And they say anything. But then they don't. As soon as they go home, they don't do it. They don't do what they need to do. Now, remember, back then I was really into health and wellness. So it wasn't like I understood this idea of purpose. So I'm like, I see them eat crappy, drink a lot of alcohol. I see them not active, not working out, doing nothing that's going to lengthen their life. More importantly, most of them don't have a purpose to work towards. They exist in their life and have a purpose. I know this got really deep. It wasn't my intention. Damn it. Dang it. So this is the outcome of the Zoom the live I wanted to do today is find your purpose. That'll be the ultimate quest of your life. What is that? And remember, you might accomplish. Dr. Kenneth Ford says this: you always are trying to reinvent yourself. I've been very blessed to live a unique life. I've had multiple lives. I had my military career, which it's like a whole other life. People that meet me, they're like, first off, you were in the military? Because I don't seem like a military guy, like compared to a lot of military guys. And I'm like, yeah, I was. And then I had this crazy this college career. And then I had this crazy Southern California career and this life. And now I have this crazy, my wife and I travel a little bit. And then I have this crazy, community-based marketing, network marketing, presenting. But then I'm not done. Like there's so many more steps into my life and my career. I'm going to have to reinvent all of that in 3 to 5 years. It's going to evolve into more than that. So that's number one. I want you to put that on your shoulders and don't let it overwhelm you, but know that you got to work towards something. Find that thing, whatever that thing is. I ran into a guy at the school, and it was funny because he was drawing. He's an artist, but that's not what he does. That's what his passion was for a long time. It's like he was drawing this picture. It was beautiful. I was like, man, that's an amazing picture. I go, how often do you draw it? He goes, I never draw. I'm like, why not? I go, you and I need to go out to coffee. I go, you need to start drawing. I go, you obviously like it. Like you spent 15, 25 years at the beginning of your life drawing most of the time, and now you don't draw at all. Like whatever you do probably isn't as enjoyable as drawing. Like that should be part of your life. But maybe his purpose is to be an art teacher. Like he financially does pretty well. He doesn't need it for the money, but like find that purpose, whatever that might be for you. Anyway, number 2 is drink your ketones every day. Listen, if you don't have this in your hands yet, holiday, I talk a lot about fat loss because that sells. To be honest, people want to lose weight. I got freaking fat loss coming out of my butt. People losing fat everywhere because they change their life. Because they actually change their life. That's why they're losing fat. The story shouldn't be fat loss. The story should actually be how did they lose the fat and maintain it. And the only way that happens is they have tools, people, and they ultimately change their life, right? And that takes time. Jeff is down 140 pounds. He's creating a lifestyle. He has to create a new lifestyle for himself to maintain the 140, then to get to the 140. Does that make sense? So use ketones to improve cognition, improve energy, improve focus, to allow your body to become a better fat burner. And the last thing you're going to want to do is find different ways to fast with us. We have a new technique that's coming out at the beginning of the year, fasting. It's called the iFast. We'll be rolling that out very extensively next year. We're going to be doing more energy around fitness and exercise, which I think is really important. And then lastly, we're going to be doing higher levels of keto education because right now there's so much keto crap out there. People think we're a keto company or a keto diet company. We're not. Like, I don't follow ketogenic diet anymore. Most people can't. I love the ketogenic diet. If you can follow it, you plan on a year to learn it. If you want to be a vegan, plan on a year. If you want to be whatever diet you want to follow, like you have to learn that diet lifestyle. But what I do know is that if we can eat whole foods, healthier foods, be carb conscious, drink ketones, your life will change. And then, yes, we have to fine tune that for every individual person based off their goals. My Olympic athletes aren't following a ketogenic diet. Most of them, some are, Most of them are not. Most of them have like a carb appropriate. We do some loading, situational. It's very dynamic, but they all use ketones to perform better. Same thing my mom does, right? So if you haven't got ketones yet, get your hands on some. Now, what I'm going to tell you is that we have a huge team, a global team around the world, and a lot of them follow me. So I'm just going to tell you right now, get back to whoever invites you to follow me and say, listen, I need to get these ketones in my hand. Do it before the Christmas, before holidays are over. Start now. Don't wait. It's insane that people wait to feel better. Like, oh, I'm going to start my diet. And this isn't a freaking diet. This is changing your life forever. That's what this is. It's changing your life forever. It's not a diet. It's changing your life forever. It's creating a lifestyle for you. Start today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Anybody that waits tomorrow, I'll tell everybody the New Year's resolution. I'm going to go like, listen, start now. It's a new year. It's new beginning. No, the people that start now get the biggest changes because they're committing a journey of better when they know life isn't perfect, because that's the reality of our world. That's how it's going to be anyway. So start now, get on and grab our best bundle or our better bundle. Whoever invited you, if you are following me to follow me, then hit me up and let's go change your life. Now I'm going to add a couple more things. If you are hungry, I was telling my wife, it's like, I'm very blessed to have a neighborhood of people that are financially extremely stable and they have good careers and lives. And I didn't have that when I started Prove It. So I was a person that was hungry. We had money, but not freedom in any capacity. And I'm looking for people that are hungry, people that are winners that haven't won yet. Who's that person out there right now that wants to create more in their life? They want more financial abundance. They want to travel more. They want to pay off more debt. They want to help more people. They want to be part of something freaking cool that's going to change the world. If you're that person, whoever invited you, tell them to talk about our promoter community. I mean, I just spent 2.5 hours with our CEO and all the leaders of the company, and like what we're creating is special. It's never been done before. And it's neat. It's not perfect. It's neat though. And it literally is changing the way the world's doing business. It's changing the way the world's doing entrepreneurship. It's changing the way the world is doing nutrition and health and wellness, because we're not trying to put you in a diet. We're not trying to tell you that we're perfect. We're trying to tell you that we're going to figure it out, that there is a better plan. We're going to give you provide you with the right tools to become more successful. And it's up to you to finish the race. We're going to get you started in the race and we're going to be there to support you in the race, but you're going to run your own race. And that's important. We have systems and plans to keep you in guidelines, right? An analogy was this, is like we're going to be the banks of your river, but we need you to run the river. We're just going to keep you in boundaries so that you can keep moving down the field so you can be more successful, or down to water the lands. I don't know. I just made that part up. But anyway, if you want to be a promoter, or if you're looking for a freaking opportunity to tax breaks, financial gains, change more lives, like have a real conversation with myself or one of our teammates. Like legitimately have a real conversation with it. And it's you have to figure it out. You have to find your niche. You have to find your groove. But there's a huge opportunity here. The number one product in the history of supplementation is in our hands. You have access to that, to use it and to share it. We have a business model that you can do from anywhere. What else do you need? And systems that work, and it pays. That's the cool thing, is as long as you put the work in. So I need to go. I'm gonna be on another Zoom with a buddy of mine, Dr. Derek Smallman. I'm gonna be hopping on a Zoom with him in a second. Talking some shop with him. But thanks for listening in. The 3 keys to longevity are fasting, ketones, and a purpose. Fasting, ketones, and a purpose. You got to fast with your ketones anyway. So the 1 and 2 just go together. There's no reason you would fast without ketones. It doesn't make any sense if you want to have optimal results. So just the way it is. Steve for ketone. I like that, Steve, man. Nice to see you, buddy. Y'all, I got to go. I hope you have a good night. I feel like David Letterman. Top 10.